three economic calculations changed everything. I thought I knew about global energy finance, $8 billion, 86 years and 15%. The moment that shattered 86 years of American energy economic dominance happened at precisely 2:31 p.m. Mexico City time, and it began with a single signature on a document that will redraw the global financial energy map forever. I was reviewing international monetary assessments when my contact at the Treasury Department called with economic intelligence that made my blood run cold. Mexican President López Obrador had just signed Decree 47-2024, officially terminating all foreign energy extraction agreements and reclaiming complete sovereign control over Mexican oil revenues, not just the resources, but the entire financial architecture that channels energy profits through the global economy. Not since Lázaro Cárdenas nationalized Mexico's oil industry in 1938 has such a seismic shift occurred in North American energy economics. But here's what makes this moment truly revolutionary from an economic perspective. Mexico isn't acting alone in disrupting established financial patterns. Economic intelligence sources confirm that this decision was coordinated with Beijing, Moscow, and Tehran as part of a broader strategy to fragment American energy financial dominance and end our ability to dictate global oil markets through monetary control rather than direct resource ownership. The economic documents I obtained through Treasury contacts contain provisions that will terrify American financial strategists. Mexico is immediately transferring operational economic control of 43 major oil fields to a financial consortium led by China National Petroleum Corporation and Russia's Gazprom, with all revenue flows denominated in yuan and rubles rather than dollars. While these aren't symbolic economic partnerships, these are comprehensive financial extraction agreements that effectively remove Mexican oil revenues from American monetary influence for the next 50 years. Let me explain why this represents the most dangerous challenge to American economic energy security since the 1973 oil embargo created the petrodollar system that has anchored our financial dominance. Because the mainstream financial media is completely missing the economic implications of what just occurred. Mexico supplies nearly 15% of American crude oil imports, but more critically, controls financial payment systems that process energy transactions for the entire American Gulf Coast. Without Mexican oil revenues flowing through dollar-denominated networks, the entire financial architecture supporting American energy markets faces immediate liquidity shortages. This isn't gradual economic pressure through market mechanisms. This is immediate disruption of financial systems that undergird American energy economics, and by extension, the dollar's role in global energy transactions. The timing reveals sophisticated economic coordination that American financial intelligence completely failed to anticipate. Mexican officials had been conducting secret economic negotiations with Chinese energy finance companies for months, while publicly maintaining commitments to existing dollar-based payment arrangements. Russian financial advisors had been quietly assessing Mexican energy revenue optimization through non-dollar settlement systems. Iranian petrochemical financial experts had been evaluating energy transaction modernization that bypasses Western banking networks entirely. This represents what I call financial energy encirclement, a coordinated strategy by economic powers to control oil financial flows that American monetary planners assumed would remain dollar-denominated regardless of political changes in producing regions. Mexico has just demonstrated that this fundamental economic assumption was catastrophically wrong. The historical economic parallel is striking and should serve as a warning about what comes next financially. When Cárdenas nationalized Mexican oil in 1938, American and British companies controlled over 70% of Mexican energy revenues through financial arrangements that resembled economic colonialism more than sovereign monetary partnerships. The nationalization triggered immediate financial sanctions and economic isolation that lasted for decades. But Mexico survived that economic pressure and ultimately thrived under national control of energy revenues rather than foreign monetary extraction. Today's Mexico is far stronger economically and has powerful financial allies that didn't exist in 1938. China needs Mexican oil revenues settled in yuan to reduce dependence on dollar-based energy transactions vulnerable to American financial sanctions. Russia requires Mexican financial partnerships to maintain global market access despite Western monetary exclusions from SWIFT banking systems. The economic implications are already cascading through American energy financial markets in ways that reveal how dependent our monetary system has become on Mexican energy revenue flows processed through dollar networks. Financial futures contracts for West Texas Intermediate crude spiked immediately upon news of the decree. More critically, currency markets began pricing in reduced demand for dollars in energy transactions as Mexican oil sales shift to yuan and ruble settlement. But here's what should terrify American economic strategists most about this financial development. The monetary infrastructure that processes Mexican energy revenues cannot easily switch to alternative financial systems without massive investment and lengthy conversion periods that could take years to complete. American financial institutions were specifically designed to handle Mexican energy revenue flows with dollar denomination requirements and banking network dependencies that differ substantially from other monetary systems. Chinese yuan energy transactions require different banking protocols that many American financial institutions don't possess. Russian ruble energy settlements need specialized monetary frameworks that bypass SWIFT systems entirely. Mexico has effectively created a financial chokehold on American energy monetary operations that cannot be easily circumvented through traditional banking mechanisms or monetary policy pressure. This represents precisely the kind of asymmetric economic leverage that rising financial powers use against established monetary hegemons when they cannot challenge American economic dominance directly through conventional financial competition. The economic dimensions reveal coordination that extends far beyond bilateral Mexican-Chinese financial cooperation. Russian financial advisors have been training Mexican economists on enhanced energy revenue optimization techniques that could increase monetary independence beyond current American financial consumption requirements. Iranian petrochemical financial specialists have been developing plans for Mexican energy transaction expansion that would enable direct sales to Asian markets using non-dollar monetary settlements. This isn't just about removing Mexican energy revenues from American financial control. It's about building alternative monetary networks that bypass American financial systems and reduce global dependence on dollar-denominated oil transactions that have provided the foundation for American monetary hegemony. Every barrel of Mexican oil sold to China in yuan rather than dollars weakens the petrodollar system that has anchored American financial dominance since the 1970s. Each ruble-denominated energy transaction with Russia further erodes dollar demand in global energy markets. The immediate financial response from Washington has been predictably aggressive and economically counterproductive. Threats of financial sanctions that could drive Mexico deeper into Chinese monetary orbit, banking pressure that validates Mexican arguments about American interference in sovereign economic decisions, on monetary challenges that ignore the fundamental principle of national financial sovereignty over energy revenues. American energy financial executives are privately acknowledging what government economic officials refuse to admit publicly. We lack the monetary leverage to reverse Mexican energy nationalization without triggering broader financial confrontations that could destabilize the entire North American economic system. Military options against Mexico are obviously impossible given geographical proximity and economic integration that would devastate American energy imports. Financial sanctions would harm American monetary interests more than Mexican ones, given our dependence on Mexican energy revenue flows and the economic integration of North American financial systems. Monetary isolation is meaningless when Mexico has powerful financial allies eager to deepen energy economic partnerships outside the dollar system. The economic alliance implications extend throughout the Western Hemisphere in ways that compound American monetary vulnerabilities. Other Latin American nations are watching Mexican success in challenging American energy financial dominance while calculating whether similar moves might serve their own economic sovereignty interests. Brazil controls enormous offshore oil reserves that American companies have accessed through financial partnerships that assume continued Brazilian compliance with dollar-denominated energy transactions and American monetary preferences. Argentina possesses substantial shale oil deposits that could be developed through Chinese or Russian financial investment rather than American monetary extraction networks. Venezuela obviously represents the largest oil reserves in the hemisphere, but remains under financial sanctions that prevent American monetary access to their energy revenues. If Mexico can successfully nationalize oil financial systems and transfer monetary control to Chinese and Russian economic networks without facing devastating American financial retaliation, Other Latin American nations may conclude that similar strategies could enhance their sovereign control over energy revenues while reducing dependence on American monetary systems. The technological economic dimensions reveal how completely the energy financial landscape has changed since Mexico's previous nationalization in 1938. Modern energy revenue processing requires sophisticated financial technology and monetary expertise that only major economic powers possess. China has developed advanced financial transaction technology for energy settlements that rivals American monetary capabilities. Russia maintains some of the world's most experienced energy finance specialists despite Western financial exclusions. Mexico no longer needs American financial institutions for monetary expertise or energy revenue processing capabilities. Chinese state-owned financial enterprises can provide funding for energy transaction infrastructure development that bypasses dollar systems entirely. Russian financial specialists can train Mexican economists on enhanced energy revenue optimization methods that maximize economic independence from American monetary influence. This technological economic independence eliminates the financial leverage that enabled American monetary institutions to maintain privileged access to Mexican energy revenues even when political relationships became strained. Mexico can now choose financial partners based on economic strategic considerations rather than technological monetary dependencies that previously favored American financial systems. The monetary implications reveal vulnerabilities in American energy financial planning that extend far beyond immediate revenue disruptions. American financial institutions have invested billions in Mexican energy revenue processing infrastructure that could be nationalized without compensation under international economic law precedents established by previous financial nationalizations. American energy companies face potential losses of financial assets that could reshape corporate monetary strategies throughout the sector. These represent sunk financial costs that cannot be recovered through alternative deployment if Mexico maintains nationalization policies supported by Chinese and Russian economic partners. The precedent established by Mexico's successful energy financial nationalization will be studied and replicated by resource-rich nations worldwide who have grown frustrated with American economic, monetary domination and are seeking alternatives through financial partnerships with rising economic powers. The pattern emerging suggests that we are witnessing the beginning of systematic energy financial decoupling as resource-rich nations calculate that monetary partnerships with China and Russia offer better economic terms than continued subordination to American financial corporations and dollar-denominated energy transaction demands. Mexico's energy financial nationalization represents the first major crack in American monetary energy dominance that has defined global financial markets since the petrodollar system was established after World War II. The assumption that friendly governments would maintain American corporate financial access to critical energy revenues regardless of political changes has been shattered by Mexican willingness to transfer monetary control to American economic adversaries. The broader implications extend beyond energy financial security to fundamental questions about American monetary leverage and economic alliance reliability. If traditional partners like Mexico can successfully challenge American financial interests without facing devastating monetary retaliation, how reliable are American economic commitments to allies who face similar financial pressures from rising economic powers? The strategic economic environment has fundamentally changed in ways that cannot be reversed through traditional American approaches to energy financial diplomacy. Mexican success in transferring energy monetary control to Chinese and Russian financial companies without facing catastrophic economic consequences will encourage similar actions by nations worldwide. American energy financial dominance, which seemed unshakable for 8 decades, has been successfully challenged through legal nationalization supported by alternative monetary partnerships that make American financial retaliation economically and politically problematic. The unipolar moment in global energy financial markets has ended. American financial institutions can no longer assume automatic access to critical energy revenues in friendly nations. The monopoly on energy monetary infrastructure that enabled American economic leverage for generations has been broken through coordinated legal economic warfare rather than military confrontation. History will remember Mexico's energy financial nationalization as the moment when 86 years of American monetary energy control ended not through revolution or war, but through sovereign economic decisions supported by rising financial powers that offer alternatives to American monetary dominance. The message to resource-rich nations worldwide is clear from an economic perspective. Alternatives to American energy financial partnerships exist and can be implemented without triggering devastating monetary retaliation. The era of unchallenged American energy monetary dominance is over, and the multipolar financial future has begun beneath our own economic soil.